What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and today we're talking about the failure of PlayStation to actually utilize Helldivers 2 for any sort of lasting success, and why this new patch for Helldivers 2 that just dropped today honestly kinda pisses me off. But let's discuss. Hi, hope you're having a great day, and if you could please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So this morning I woke up and they just launched a gigantic update. This is actually the biggest patch we've ever gotten for Helldivers 2 ever since it came out about 6 months ago, and it's called the Escalation of Freedom. Now, this is a pretty substantial patch on the surface. It does a lot of rebalancing, it does a lot of changes, it adds in new microtransactions and a couple new beasties, but pretty much all the replies, the instant fan feedback, is how this completely sucks. They're nerfing the weapons people enjoy the most, they're reducing the amount of bullets, they're making enemies tougher, and a lot of times it feels like Helldivers 2 is an accidental success. Now, PlayStation has straight up said they're trying to find a way to make more live service projects to mix in between their gigantic single-player games. Like, obviously, PlayStation's biggest successes have been stuff like Spider-Man and God of War and Gran Turismo, stuff that is just so big that people buy it, they love it, and then they kind of move on. So Sony has been just very much dumping cash into trying to find a way to make it so their games as a service projects like this, which is being made by PlayStation Studios and Arrowhead, the idea is, okay, this will be more lasting profit. And it did, in the short term, absolutely pay off. This is actually a screenshot I took of a tweet from Matt Piscatella. He does all sorts of like sales chart stuff. Helldivers 2 is still technically the biggest game of the entire year, which on paper seems great until you realize that 99%, literally, like almost every single person that has bought the game has quit. This has sold tens of millions of copies and they can't even get 10,000 concurrent players. This drop off is absolutely insane, especially when you consider the fact that these Steam concurrent players, almost everybody is playing it on Steam. Almost everybody is still, like, even though it is on PlayStation, and I've played it on PlayStation, I've platinumed it on PlayStation, all my bros, the squad, all my friends that play it, every single person is playing it on Steam. And a lot of people are saying, this patch sucks, but also, yeah, it still sucks that because of the region locking of how you have to have your PSN ID connected to Steam in order to even try the game, a lot of people are saying, okay, for a huge chunk of the planet, this game is still unplayable. But I guess my problem is, even judging this on its own merits, like actually considering it, I have played it for about 2.5 hours this morning, and it's not that this patch completely sucks, it's that it doesn't feel like enough. Like these updates, like, oh, okay, we've changed it so whenever there's a new weekly quest, it looks a little bit better. Oh, it's a little bit easier to pick weapons in the armory. And a lot of the actual changes, they're just minuscule. My problem is the fact that, honestly, Helldivers 2 is an incredibly fun game. I feel like anybody who's tried it knows that it is such a natural, comedic, genius experience. Just blowing each other up, trying to do callouts, running around planets with increasingly big aliens and robots chasing you down. The game is fantastic. But now, after 6 months of fighting the same 10 enemies, people are bored. Boredom happens. I feel like a lot of these companies kind of forget the fact that, like, drip feeding content does not satiate people's hunger for something different, for something exciting. Like, in 6 months, they've done one other big patch, which gave us robots. And this gameplay here is from the new update that came today. They released a couple new monsters, and they're not super good. There's a new swamp planet, which is kind of nice. The Terminate Impaler, there's a Spore Charger. Like, my thing is, 3 new monsters, all of which are not incredibly cool and only exist on the harder difficulties. This just feels like a very, very lackluster update. And I guess I'm conflicted. I'm frustrated, but I'm conflicted because let's face facts. This is, I guess, still sort of best case scenario. And what I mean is the fact that Arrowhead is a tiny team. It's just a company that happened to find funding from PlayStation and made the best game they could, and it accidentally blew up into this mega monumental success. And they've said straight up, okay, the game did get big, it is being beloved, but it's hard to just mass hire at this point. We can't just double the size of the studio overnight because that's how you end up imploding. I mean, look at Bungie. They did a bunch of hiring, they got bought by PlayStation, then they did mass layoffs, and now Bungie, as we know it, sounds like it's dead. That was my videos last week. But Arrowhead, I guess they are taking the correct position of stay small, stay focused, stay just with your head in the game, but it does have the blowback of, okay, with so few employees, they can't really make any big substantial updates, they can't invent new stuff. There have been a bunch of leaks about the fact that there is a third faction, the Illuminated. What were they called? The Illuminated? I don't remember how to pronounce it, but there is a new class. There's a new style of monster that's going to come out of the dark black depths of the universe. There are leaked models, there's combat, there's gameplay. This game needs something radically different at this point, and I feel like the reason I'm frustrated is because Helldivers 2, at the beginning of the year, there was legitimate discussion that it was the best thing released in 2024. Like, people are actually just making fan art and theme songs and remixes and making some great montage clips of silly bombs blowing up your own team or diving off a balcony and accidentally breaking your own neck. Helldivers 2 is such a funny game that is so well balanced, and every patch, every tweak, every update manages to remove some of the fun. Why do you keep weakening weapons? Why do you keep making flamethrowers more and more useless? Why do you keep making monsters harder? Or in this update, they released a new ultra hard difficulty, and anybody who's played over difficulty 7 of the 10 difficulties knows you pretty much have to avoid combat. It just becomes about sneaking and creeping, and that's not even a terrible thing. I guess my issue is the fact that if I am playing a game where I just have to try and avoid the combat and you're not even going to give me new stuff to fight, eventually I'm going to burn out. I bought the new Battle Pass. I have the new microtransactions on. This is the new cosmetics. I've pretty much unlocked everything already. And even as good as this stuff looks, even as these new weapons are kind of just remixed versions of stuff that already existed, I can't help but express my extreme disappointment. I wanted more. I want Helldivers 2 to be the success that Sony wants it to be. PlayStation wants a games as a service W that's just going to print cash forever, and I think this was a big success. This was their cash cow, and they just don't know how to do it right. I don't know. Whatever it takes to make that third faction get released, whatever you can do to make new planets, new biomes, new craziness, I am a big supporter of it, because at this point, Helldivers 2 is dead, and I promise nobody is more pissed than Sony themselves. But these have just been some off-the-cuff thoughts, because honestly, when I look at these patch notes, when I look at a lot of this stuff, I can't help but compare it, maybe unfairly, to Diablo. I have almost 700 hours in Diablo 4 just over the course of the last year, and their season system where every couple months, like every 4 months, the game completely gets reinvented with new boss events and epics and legendaries and cool rebalancing and retooling and different leveling speeds and stuff like that. It is bizarre to me how much games as a service can be so different from genre to genre, but I don't know. Watching how much Blizzard and Microsoft are completely killing it as, well, Sony tries to figure out how to get this going again, it's a weird dichotomy. But what are your thoughts? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. And do you even care about Helldivers 2? Did you even know this patch was coming out? Probably not, but I love you guys very much. Have a good day, and if you could please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and also keep dreaming. Oh, by the way, if you are going to QuakeCon this weekend in Dallas, Texas, I'm going to be there just for funsies, not like in an official work capacity. But if you're at QuakeCon, I'll be wearing the DreamcastGuy hat. Feel free to come up and say hi. Every year when I go out to conventions, I meet so many nice subscribers, and it's always a very fun experience to me. For honestly, it's cool. You guys talking to me about your favorite games and stuff. It's very, very cool. So love you very much, and hopefully I see you there. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.